anti-corruption, anti-government weaponization, task force news in the fourth hour. Already covered a lot in the first, but I'm going to get the real meat and potatoes coming up. But Jeremy Brown is right in the middle of this, so he wants to get into these topics as well, so I'll reveal some of that information now. Now, just remember, I'm the guy in the first administration saying no indictments are coming, Sessions is bad, at least weak, Bill Barr, super bad, Comey. I mean, I was the guy getting criticized for saying the Q stuff wasn't true, there weren't secret tribunals, there weren't secret executions of Hillary at Gitmo, you know, Santa Claus doesn't come down here in Chimney on Christmas Eve and eat the cookies. But, I mean, I talked to the administration. I talked to Ed Martin in detail Saturday and other times, obviously, when the guest many years in the show. He was working at Eagle Farm, other places. So he gave me a lot of exclusive information about other grand juries that have been opened, what they're doing in one district in Virginia, so they can go after the CIA and NSA. Gabbard has given them stuff that he said, if you think the other stuff is damning, I'll Crossfire Hurricane, and he said this is just, they're just trying to even process it. There's so many national security issues then, and they're having to go to Trump basically just to override, because he's allowed to be classified. I mean, it was the CIA directly doing all this. I mean, we already have a lot of that, but this is, he just said, so much worse than what you've seen. It's unbelievable. He said, I can't give you details of it, it's all classified. But he said, we're on it. He said, I'm up here 7 days a week. My wife never sees me. She's okay with it. He was crisscrossing. So I'm going to go up there and leave it at that next week, about a week and a half. And he was just telling me, you know, I'm going to be here, I'm going to be there, I'm going to be this city, that city. All this stuff is going on. They've got grand juries up in Missouri, where he's from. They're bringing in the Missouri AG, who's hardcore, probably second only to Tim Paxton. I mean, the new deputy director, Montino's about to leave. The new guy is being ready to replace Cash Patel if he didn't do his job. That's all from, not Ed Martin, that's from the other sources. But I brought it up, Ed said no comment. So, a lot of incredible information. But Jeremy Brown, you can recap this. We've already covered it before, but you got approached pre-J6 to infiltrate and set up Patriot groups. You actually came here, raised the alarm on my show, did a tour, went to J6, saved a woman being trampled. You weren't even near the Capitol. You weren't in it. You were on the edge of it. They threw you in prison. Trump had all those things overturned, and so you recently got out. But you're a proud father, former small business owner, decorated U.S. Army Special Forces combat veteran who served 20 years, U.S. military. You're an American First Patriot, and has challenged the political establishment in Florida and ran for Congress 2020. To this day, he still fights for the promises of his forefathers: life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. JeremyBrownDefense.com, and whoisJeremyBrown.com, and any other sites you want to plug or anything, you're certainly welcome to do it. But I heard you were coming to town for a speaking engagement about a week ago. I'm glad you can be here with us, because you're a really smart guy, and I know a lot of special operations guys, all seem to be really street smart, but you're particularly smart, and you really foresaw J6. You came on my show, and we were like, basically, they're getting ready to try to stage something, you weren't sure what it was, and what did you call it? Because you take the FBI wanting you to be a Randy Weaver, which he refused to. They wanted him to infiltrate Patriot groups. He was a Green Beret. He refused, so they shot his wife in the head and his son in the back and all the rest of it. So God bless his soul. Good for him that died a few years ago. But you definitely are patient zero exposing this. And I've said to the Trump admin, and I've said to the prosecutors, you want to go after J6, talk to Jeremy Brown. During the break, you said we haven't been approached yet. They just got their thousands of employees vetted and lie detector tested. They just got it. They tried to block him to be the U.S. attorney at Martin. So the knives are out for him. He's fighting. He says more and more, it's getting good. He's been greenlit by the president to operate on his own with this special attorney position. I guess you call him Trump's inquisitor. And so they have every intention. And he was saying, yeah, I'm up here until midnight. Some of the folks are on the weekend, but most of them aren't. Even the ones that are patriots still don't realize this is a total war. Trump knows it's a war, and wants a rampage. And I'm not going to quote people, but maybe the word rampage was used. So Jeremy Brown, great to have you here. You can start with what happened to you, recap it, your overall 35,000-foot view, where you're great on Trump, what you see with the troops being deployed, just anywhere you want to go.
Well, Alex, I want to touch on the fact that, you know, the indictments are coming aspect of it. Look, I'm with you. I want the indictments to come. And if you're being told they're coming, then I think our position as citizens need to always be, show me the money. I mean, show me the indictments. We're waiting, and we need to keep the pressure on, just like we would keep the pressure on our children if we were saying, hey, you need to get better grades, and they're saying, I'm doing the best I can. Well, you can do better, right? It's no different. And I'm here to tell you 100%, I spent 1,245 days in federal prison in custody of a government that framed me for exposing the fact that January 6th was a military operation. And not just, I think it's a military operation. It's a military operation. I did this for 20 years of my career and actually retired out of the office that had policy oversight of these types of operational plans, like covert, clandestine, and compartmentalized operations.
Yeah, the CIA does color revolutions and they use the Army.
Well, not just the CIA, but Mark Milley is directly, through piles of circumstantial evidence, whether it be through testimony by Colonel Earl Matthews or it be Stephen Sund's own biography or recount of the situation, that the Department of Defense, the Pentagon, headed by Mark Milley, was planning weeks in advance of January 6th. Why are they even involved in a American political?
Well, they had the guards stand down, block Trump, which could have overridden, ordered half the police to go away for control of vehicles, crowd control miles away, traffic control. Yeah, it was a total setup. I mean, we know that. We saw it. My guys, my advanced team, had a bigger security team. There were like 12 guys. 2 of them were down there. They were Army Special Operations. The phones were never working. And finally, the call goes through. They go, get down there. It's a setup. You got to get there and stop it. It's a setup. Get down here now. It's a government operation. We ran down there, and sure as hell it was.
That's right.
But the Army guys immediately saw it. They said,
of course, because when you've run these operations, when you've been part of these operations, when you've run counterinsurgency operations for your whole career, you know, I mean, I use Tom Brady often when I say Tom Brady spent his entire life playing football. If he goes to a Texas high school football game, he's probably going to be able to tell what play they're going to run next. Not because he's seen the playbook of the team that's on the field, but because he's seen playing.
He knows the formations.
Right, he knows the formations. He knows what should be done by a good quarterback in those situations. And it's no different when you have military members that have experience in these types of things, seeing odd things and calling.
So Ed Martin should bring you in because he's running the J6 stuff. That's what he told me. He said, listen, I've been given 90% of it. He wasn't complaining. He just said, there's so much corruption, but would you go work with Ed Martin as an advisor?
I will work with anybody that's trying to get to the truth and expose this attack.
Sure, but if you don't understand clandestine, Tide, color revolution stuff that the U.S. Army basically runs along with the NGOs, then you wouldn't know what you're seeing.
Well, exactly, and it's just like J6ers themselves. They don't know what they were involved in, right? They might be able to tell their
story. You were able to predict it months before, not the specifics, but you want a turn of warning or get ready to set us up because they came and tried to hire you. Well, because you're an expert.
So the actual recruitment, I think, was born out of the fact that I held a meeting with the Oath Keepers in November of 2020, and this is exactly what I warned them of, and I have the confidential human source documents of that meeting. So the FBI had already infiltrated the Oath Keepers. I'm telling the Oath Keepers that they're about to be targeted for destruction.
And they come and try to get you.
And then in 2 weeks, they don't come and ask me about the meeting or why I'm talking to them about these topics. They're trying to recruit me, a soft pitch, right, which went astray because I knew exactly what they were doing. And so I basically handled that meeting, and that's what resulted in a 20-minute recording of me getting them to admit to a bunch of things, like the fact that, they do this to both sides, right? That they're following up on people that they see with Biden as a pedophile bumper stickers on their car. They're sending Department of Homeland.
I later discovered they had a group here in a very wealthy area of Austin, and all the Trump parties that people were having, trying to manipulate anybody that was a veteran to, quote, carry some guns to D.C. in a truck for us to set them up, and they saw through it. But this was a major operation
because that was the pre-planned result. Because something that you might not have heard or might have missed, but it's in Stephen Sund's book that Milley sent security to the general officers in the military district of Washington that day. Why? Because they were attempting to provoke a shootout on Capitol grounds that just didn't materialize because we're not who they say they are. But so here, I'm involved in this. I record these agents before January 6th. I'm with Kelly Meggs, with Jessica Watkins, with all of the players that they actually put as patsies to blame and say, oh, they tried to overthrow the government. I'm with that very group, and yet there was no effort to contact me. There was no effort to put me on a wanted list because they knew that I had the recording. And so when I went public through Band.Video, Brandon Gray did the 2-hour interview, and I laid all of this out on March 5th of 2021. Even then, the FBI still did not come after me. It wasn't until it started to be exposed that January 6th was run by the same leadership team that ran the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot, which was completely fake.
Yes, you did.
That then the FBI starts this fabricated investigation into Jeremy Brown, and then on September 20th of 2021, they come with an arrest warrant for 2 misdemeanors, but yet come with an entire 15-man force, helicopters, and everything, and arrest me for 2 misdemeanors, but then during that 5.5-hour search, they find explosives and classified materials, and then that's what they frame it with. And then when the pardons are issued, they try to say, oh, well, his case isn't related to January 6th, even though the entire railroad trial, they said this was J6, this was J6, the appellate briefs, everything. And this is why it took 30
By the way, not just you saying, it even came out in the cases, and even mainstream news reported it, that they found fibers that were from the feds, it was all fake, the hand grenade, all of it was planted.
They had no, in fact, this is what drove them to try to get me to take a plea deal so they wouldn't have this evidence come out at trial.
By the way, you don't care about a hand grenade. You've been around it your whole life or whatever. The point is the idea that you know you're a target, you got hand grenades laying around.
Alex.
I mean, let me explain something. Folks, I've never been a crook anyways, but even though I was, I'll assure you my ass is clean. They're trying to set me up. So they come to my house and find hand grenades. I've never had a damn hand grenade.
Alex, if I'm on a target in some country that my government has lied to me about to go attack, right? But if I'm on a target and I'm looking for explosives, right? Of which the FBI is, because their search warrant says Mr. Brown was said to have had explosives from this other person, a third-party account, right? So they know that they're preparing to find explosives. They have ATF on the scene for when they find these explosives. But then they find them in the first room that they go into, and then they just stop the search. In fact, they have...
Yeah, you find one explosive for real, you're going to tear the house apart.
You're going to
go on the roof.
And so they have photographs...
They're going to bring dogs in.
They have photographs of military equipment in my RV, right, that they never went through. Why? Because the equipment in there was the equipment from January 6th that is on the search warrant for the seized, which they never seized. Because they found their grenades, and then they completely stopped the search and said, we have
When you said equipment, we thought Anthony was going to attack. It was just helmets.
Yeah, just helmet and protective gear, because that's what the Oath Keepers were told to wear by the organizer. They said, hey...
Remember, they found the dog hair of the grenade that wasn't even from that.
Dog hair, carpet fibers, and 2 male DNAs, but no DNA from me. But yet the FBI never runs the...
You gotta love how sloppy they are.
Well, exactly, and it's extremely sloppy when you're going up against a guy who has trained Iraqis and Afghans in FBI evidence collection, right? I mean, this is what Green Berets do. We train foreign armies that are fighting for whatever it is that they're fighting.
Force multiplication.
Right? But so I know how the FBI is supposed to process evidence on the scene because I've trained Iraqi SWAT team members on how to do it, and my guys have trained them. So the entire thing was...
I just wonder how they find scum that would go to a decorated, highly decorated, great Green Beret patriot, high level, and set you up. God, the soulless was that. Let's plant a hand grenade on this guy. God, I mean, you talk about... There is a God, folks, you're going to face him. I mean, how they can get... I guess they have special units of scum, or you say it's the whole FBI?
Well, no, it's compartmentalization.
Yeah.
See, what they did is, remember, they have the ATF there, but that ATF's not the one that found the explosive. They use what's called a task force officer. This is a local deputy, clean record, right? And they say, all right, hey, you're running the primary search, right? And then he's the one that finds it. So
does somebody else drop it, then he finds it?
Look, I honestly believe that this level of setup was done at a much higher level than just the... Look, the FBI...
So they've not already been in there.
The cleanup crew.
They've not already been in there.
We have a picture...
So they might have done a little CIA break-in team.
Right. So, surreptitious...
Yeah, plant teams, which is...
So, or you could have had a homeless crackhead who's working as an asset say, hey, we need you to break into this RV and put this stuff, right? I mean, there's a million ways we can do it, right? But the way it's not done is the Hollywood style where the guy's just got a grenade in his pocket and he drops it on the floor and says, oh, look what I found. But this is exactly the way the DOJ tried to sell what my accusation was, because it's ridiculous, but that's not the case. And the reality is that they didn't want any of this to go to
I don't know. Once I was in Florida covering, we were doing real martial law drills, and it was like Brooksville or somewhere it was called. And they literally, I'm just filming the stuff through the town by this airbase, civilian airbase, and they literally have this army guy pop out, special operations dress. And he starts going, Alex, I agree, he starts setting fires and blaming me, and I had to like literally stop him. So they do a little ham-fisted too.
This is the reality. I have evidence of the government framing me for exposing them, okay? And so...
And you did it before, you exposed them before, then they come after you.
Exactly.
It's not like they busted you and you were like behind the scenes exposing it. You exposed it to us on this platform.
9 months later is when they came and arrested me, even though I was with all the guys that were arrested right away. They didn't want to have to arrest me because then it would bring, vision, it would bring eyeballs to my story. But they had no choice because we were exposing it. And
well, just to plug InfoWars, and this isn't about me, as people understand. We've gotten these Rockefeller documents and Defense Department stuff. They're always like, this show keeps changing the narrative. It's a place, it's not about me. It's about Jeremy Brown. It's about Ron Paul all those decades ago and hundreds of times. It's about all of you. It's a place where this gets out. And there you were figuring out months before, and we'd have listened more to your warning. We could have stopped J6. It's just crazy, but thank God we had Band.video. That's why they're trying to shut it down so badly right now. Because back when he went on Band.video, there was basically nowhere other than BizShoot to put this out. We were totally censored there.
It is the only place you can see that interview with Brandon Gray is Band.video, and we have linked to it, and I think if you go in there, it's like 1.9 million views, right? It's one of the most viewed videos ever on Band.video, and so they couldn't ignore the fact that I was saying these things. And so that's why they came after me. And so for 1,245 days, I've tried to get members of Congress. I've tried to get mainstream media. I tried to get conservative Inc. media. I tried to get, the famous alternative media to listen to the story, and no one talks to me except for the individual truth seekers out there. And so anyone in Congress saying, oh, I'm looking into J6, or anyone that's running the FBI that claims, oh, we've done the investigation and we're going to release the files. No one has ever talked to me. Not one interrogation. They didn't even bring in a form and fill out my name on the top of the form, right? They have not talked to me. They literally handcuffed me, threw me in jail. 1,245 days later, they released me. No one even told me who released me. No one even told me why I was released. It's like the 9/11.
Well, you weren't released later, and so, I'll just tell you, I made phone calls and called the president and said you'd be released.
Well, right. And
so, but the point
why I was released, because the American outrage drove them to, it took 37 days, February 26th, in fact, 180 days today. Just a few hours ago, 180 days ago.
Well, I just expect you, if the Democrats get back and throw me in prison, you better get my ass out. Like the A-team.
I might leave you a rat line instruction to get to where I am.
I was about to say, if they get back in, I gotta leave. It's not that I'll be better outside of it.
You should do it before they get back in.
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. No, I
don't wait until they're back in.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
God almighty.
I mean, look, this is the reality. I want as much as you, as everybody, for all this indictment business to be true. And I'm with you. I said, if the indictments just come in D.C., we know this is just bullshit. We know that it is just smoke and mirrors to get us to calm down. And I hope that Ed Martin and this task force is bringing these indictments. But again, indictments are just charges, okay? We need actual accountability.
Well, no, that's what they said. And they can put pressure on grand juries, too. All I can tell you is, they've never had grand juries before. They're up there working late at night. We finally got men that are willing to do it. But I'm just saying we should pray for Ed Martin and people, because can you imagine what's going to happen to them if we don't win?
Well, you can pray for them, but you also have to keep the pressure on them, because they're going to be getting pressure from...
Listen, it's not Ed Martin getting pressure on it. It's not even Trump. It is the general Republican Party. And yes, for everybody that's like, we give up, it's never going to happen. No. The left wants you to give up. We are close. This is when you push it over. I agree. Everybody's got to say indictments, 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 and who needs to be indicted? You know what I'm saying? We need to beat the drum now heavier than ever.
Well, we know where.
That's why the Q stuff pissed me off so bad. Thousands executed, Guantanamo Bay, Hillary executed, and I knew it wasn't true. I knew it was a government operation.
Of course. I mean,
but my point is this: is that now I'm saying, and I'm being accused of. We heard you say that 8 years ago. No, you never heard me fucking say that. I told you it was bullshit. I'm telling you it's real, and we've got a ragtag team up there that's literally working 18 hours a day trying to get it done right now. And so we better be supporting them.
We have ensured that thousands of postcards have wound up in the hands of Congress. I have ensured that I violated protective orders to get my documents, my digital discovery, everything to congressmen, and nothing has happened, right? So my question is, if you're really investigating, I mean, what would be more beneficial to a grand jury than to have a witness saying, here's the evidence that this government planted on me to lock me up for 1,200.
Well, I can tell you this. This is what Ed told me yesterday. Okay? I mean, Saturday, I got this goes on. He said, listen, he goes, I'm not complaining. He goes, we finally got people who've done a lot of detector tests. They set up a task force. They do nothing. Then I get put in charge of those. He's like, he goes, I don't know how many task force I'm in charge of. He goes, now he's in charge of like 10,000 people. It's 1,000 a month ago. And he's in there. And then he goes, even the people that mean well here still think it's a cakewalk and not a war. He goes, I'm up here with like 20 people on Saturday night. I need 500. And he said, and I can't make them. The civil servants come in. He goes, I give them the speech, and I'm giving inside. This is literal conversation. He said, we know this is war. He goes, I know they're going to get me. You know, Trump knows. And so he talks to Trump every day. So they are literally, the problem is the people even around that aren't even Democrats but traitors, they're so like, oh yeah, they don't get it's a war. They don't get the urgency. Then meanwhile, the public doesn't understand. We finally got people trying to do it. They're like, I don't believe this. And so it's a perfect storm of apathy.
Well, look, my suggestion to Cash Patel, to Dan Bongino, to Ed Martin, to Pam Bondi, what I would do is I'd fire all those people and hire Steve Friend and Kyle Seraphin and O'Boyle and Marcus Allen and tell them.
And you've seen the pressure, and now that's moving that way, though. I hear you. Let's move on from Bondi, though. It's the prosecutors. You know Bondi's the political.
Oh, yeah.
Bondi's political. She just goes around press conferences all day.
Fire them and hire them.
You saw they bring in the Missouri AG. He's to replace, they're going to get rid of Patel.
Well, look, I am going to continue to keep the pressure on that until someone talks to me, then they're not really in.
No, I got that. Well, here's what we'll do.
It's not for fame. That's because.
No, I know. We call it Mark up and right. But the point is that he's just now got his 9/11 team ready. I mean, his January 16th ready. He's finally got it.
Jacked up on methylene blue is the best thing you guys have ever had.
I do subscribe to methylene blue and the ultimate CMOS on a monthly basis. 6.5-year supplements. So it's been up and down for the last 3 years.
That's one of the people that I work with.
Out of my store. Me up and walking again.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones.
J6 with Jeremy Brown. So Jeremy, we were talking during the break, and you were like, well, they were really serious. They'd have you up there at the DOJ investigating what happened to you and all the lawfare the DOJ running that. Well, they are. So that's an example of they're calling me, and I'm going to leave it at that, and I'll be up in D.C. again next week. So that's what I'm saying. This is not 8 years ago. It's a different climate. And I don't expect people, I'm not the guy here saying this is all going to happen. I'm saying this is the first time they've opened these grand juries.
Well, I mean, look, I'll testify anonymously. It doesn't even have to be about Jeremy Brown. It just has to be about that Green Beret that recorded our agents trying to recruit him and then framing them with planted explosives and classified.
Well, they don't need you anonymously. They're not even really hiding to do this.
No, but I mean, look.
By the way, Ed Martin wants people to know, they're not even going to play games with these big, long conspiracy charges. That's coming next. And racketeering. Most of these Democrats, you can pull the studies up, half of them on record, they've never even filed taxes. They're going to get them all in income tax evasion. There's more than one way to skin a cat like Al Capone.
I just want January 6th to be fully looked at, just like they never fully looked at 9/11, right? They just issued the 9/11 Commission report and then swept it all under the rug and pretended like anything you said was a conspiracy.
Yeah, I know, but I'm a big cover-up guy with 9/11.
Right.
Like, I've covered up myself for 25 years. I'm being sarcastic. I said they blew the towers up that day. I get definitely blew my nose again. My producer's coming in there wiping my nose like I'm a baby here. It's so good, I'm guzzling it during the breaks, but yeah, I'm like Rudolph the Blue-Nosed Reindeer here. Oh yeah, look at it, yeah. That's not a sales pitch, what is it? Yeah. No, listen, I have listeners at Martin Springs when I was swimming at the Yin Stayed with my dad, my mom, and my youngest daughter. It happens at the grocery store. When are we going to get indictments? Like I've been covering up the New World Order. Like I'm the one running it. We're the ones that broke your store before it all even happened. So believe me, I'm impatient too. I'm just saying they finally got grand juries going.
Right. And so, look, as somebody that was on the inside, really on the inside, like 1,245 days inside the prison, I will believe that they're serious when they actually come and look at. I mean, think about what it takes to frame someone who just months before is saying, you guys ran an operation, I've got a recording of it, and then magically explosives and classified materials pop up in our RV.
Yeah, I said this to members of Congress on record and off record. I said, Jeremy Brown, even bigger than the pipe bombs, that the feds ran that day is the string that uncoils the whole sweater. Because, yeah, you figured it out, you exposed it, and they came and set you up. It's absolutely true. So we've got that part. You need to be talked to when you do that. They've just gotten their task forces spun up, and now the personnel in there now doing all this, all these different task forces. J6, going over the mortgage fraud, the income tax fraud, the raid on Mar-a-Lago, all of they're going after the Federal Reserve for all of their theft and all the rest of the garbage they're engaged in. They're investigating and have all the proof of the auto bin and payments and whistleblowers for the pardons. That's what the big thing I'm dead on. It just goes on and on. And J6, specifically coverage of that FBI unit with Governor Whitmer that you're talking about ran J6 and was obviously coming after you. It just goes on and on. So yeah, and the biggest thing is this is a war. We need everybody, including the public, to realize, but also people in the government, as Trump keeps saying, this is a war. We need to have urgency. You need to be on a rampage. And they just want to indict at every level anybody in the deep state with anything that's cut and dry. So that's the mission.
Well, and you know, I've heard one of the things of, well, we can't do it all at once, it'll collapse the government. Well, you know, how about this? How about a moratorium on the federal government for 4 years until we can straighten this all out? Because I'm pretty sure our founders would not be for keeping something that is as broken as it is in place while it investigates itself.
Sure, you can understand. Owen was put in prison, you were put in prison, they tried to put me in prison, I had to pay all these grand juries. I was under investigation with Chief of James, state, federal level, Southern District, stuff my lawyers ever wanted me to get into, all sorts of made up crap. I get you guys want the justice, but we kind of just repeat like a baby bird. Justice, justice, get them, get them. I'm saying the public needs to understand this information war too. They need to, when they see all this crossfire hurricane stuff come out and all these damning documents, that's a big deal in the court of public opinion. We have a job to expose the globalists and to poison the well ahead of these indictments, or regardless, demonize the Democrats for what they did so they're convicted in the court of public opinion. I see a lot of people saying, I'm not even going to cover government corruption if it's the Democrats because I'm waiting for an indictment. So really, it's just a way to give up.
Yeah, and we also need to realize that it's not just Democrats. I mean, there are the Republican element. It's the rhino class, right? I mean, look, I wrote Barry Loudermilk a personal letter when I heard him in the Citrus County Jail refer to the idea that the Department of Defense was in on the coup attempt when Colonel R. Matthews was testifying to it. Barry Loudermilk interrupts him and refers to it as a conspiracy theory. And so
there were a lot of folks aren't know these names. You have to explain what you're talking about.
Oh, well, you know, Representative Barry Loudermilk held a subcommittee hearing, had Colonel Earl Matthews testifying about the delays in the National Guard. And as he's testifying to the fact that General Mark Milley had a clique within the Pentagon that was referring to the upcoming January 6th rally as a Reichstag moment. Now, a professional Green Beret knows what a Reichstag moment is because that is exactly the types of agent provocateur operations that are run.
Explain that. So February 27th, 1933, Hitler's elected president, but unpopular. Hindenburg refuses to step down, so they firebomb their own building, blame Marinus Vanderloob, and then declare him president and chancellor, becoming the Fuhrer in early March of 1933. So when you hear a Reichstag moment, that means a false flag to bring in a totalitarian dictatorship.
All right, to justify going after who you've staged to be the bad guy, right? So then it was the communists. See, Martin Niemeyer's poems, it doesn't start with the Jews, right? He says first they came for the communists. That is a reference to the Reichstag, right? That is a reference to the saying they did this when you actually did it. And so when you have a Green Beret who is the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, right, Mark Milley, and a clique of other officers who don't even have tactical command of anything. The Pentagon is not a MACOM. It is not a tactical combatant commander, right? It is an administrative command. But yet you have Mark Milley, Hyatt, Flynn, all running around in the Pentagon.
Reaching down into local things to control it.
Interfering, having a memoranda issued on the 4th, changing the chain of command, but only for the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. I mean, these are all indicators of their involvement. And when Colonel Earl Matthews is testifying to this,
we ought to pull that back up or post at it, because that's so important. I forgot. They're saying Trump did all this. He wanted National Guard. They blocked him. He could have overridden them. Then they have half the police go away for traffic control. And then you've got Milley in these communications that have been confirmed. There's the colonel being interviewed. He said this Reichstag event's coming up. Then you got Bill Barr running around the days before on the streets with the other federal provocateurs caught on tape with Ray Epps. I mean, they had this son of a bitch right.
All right, and so you have a Republican interrupting and saying, "Oh, we don't want to get into conspiracy theories," right? And then, of course, Colonel Matthews doesn't want to be called a conspiracy theory. That's like being called a racist, right? And he said, "No, I'm just saying the conditions were being set." So when you have the Joint Chiefs of Staff setting the conditions for a false flag or an intentional delay or something bigger, which I personally believe, if I were to be...
Oh, they were planning. They had some provocateurs that fall through real violence, kidnapping.
Right, the murder of Ashley Babbitt was the trigger to their event. They thought that that would actually cause conservatives to attack with guns that they likely pre-planted. I mean, look up the Hippies for Trump bus situation, which was, in essence, the pallet of bricks for January 6th, right? I mean, all the Antifa raids always had these frozen water bottles and pallets and bricks.
That's why they were already pre-programmed, worse than 9/11, worse than Pearl Harbor, because they were planning something really violent.
The narrative was already written, and yet you have members of Congress, these so-called heroes in the Republican Party, of which we've reached out to all of them and given them copies of my discovery and my own notes on official documents saying, look into this case. This shows that this government is trying to shut this guy up because he recorded him.
Sure, so to qualify, I give out definition. Tell the story again, because you went over it quickly. It's so important. I've forgotten the testimony in Congress. We were all told, a month before, this is a Reichstag event. Literally burn up the Capitol so Hitler can become dictator. Burn up the Capitol to say Trump's a dictator, make the Democrats dictators, have a war on MAGA. They plan to, quote, dismantle us, wage war against us. All the military terms about destabilizing and frustrating and what's the term you use?
Demoralization.
Yeah, it's demoralized, but it's also basically just sabotage anything we're trying to do peacefully. It'll come ahead in a minute. But this was their big role, and I agree, it fizzled, it failed.
Right, and then what did we see immediately after? I mean, see, this is a plan that, like you said, it failed for the most part, right? But the narrative continued, and then what did we see in the months following, right? The FBI went from rolling up MAGA J6 attendees to then infiltrating churches. Of course, they'd already been infiltrated.
Wars disrupt.
These infiltrations have been going on for decades, right? I have in the green room the FBI's guidelines for the use of confidential human sources signed by William Barr on his way out the door. The day he left the Justice Department, he signs the document, and it is nothing more than the FBI's guidelines on how to use civilians to break the law to accomplish their means. It says it right there in black and
Why
white.
do you have the FBI director lying to Congress saying no feds on J6? Who would ever believe that?
Look, I mean, look, we got
The ultimate national security event with the president and everybody, a contested election, and there's no feds there.
Well, we got Bobby Powell, who did the investigation, who filmed a lot of the footage of actual feds. He's run it to ground. He's found actual names to FBI agents, has turned them over to, you guessed it, Republicans, and nothing is being followed up.
Oh, there's no doubt Pence and all of them were in on it.
Yeah, this is a whole of government, because look, the parties are just the teams that we're supposed to be divided by, right? The government, our government is run by globalist powers, right? We know this. We've been talking about this for decades.
I coined the term left-right paradigm, but with Trump, it's not perfect, but it's changed. That's why there's a populist piece here.
But if we don't start locking, look, you make this, point often, right? We're running out of time. I mean, the presidential term is only 4 years, right? And I predict this is what's going to happen. What's going to happen is they're going to put the Democrats back in charge of Congress so that now you've cut your 4 years in half, and it's going to be the same second verse, same as the first repeat of the first administration, where we're going to then say, oh, we were going to investigate it, but now the Democrats are in charge, and so they're not going to investigate it, and then we're going to be talking about January 6th.
Yeah, well, that's not a prediction, Jeremy Brown. That's the plan.
Yeah.
And so what I'm frustrated by is everybody is so conditioned by fake internet postings about thousands of Gitmo Hillary executed that I'm sitting here talking to Ed Martin, General Flynn, President Trump, all of them, and you see J.D. Vance saying, no, there's massive diamonds coming. Trump, within months, is going to fire all these people other than Ed Martin, and it hasn't happened. So that's what I'm saying is, everybody's like still stuck in that mode. I'm saying, what's the deep state going to do? And my concern, knowing they're getting subpoenaed, knowing they're getting visits, what are they about to pull to block that? Because I'm telling you, it's happening. Or Trump will just get rid of all leadership with more in. That's what's happening.
I mean, look,
I'm just saying, we're all about tomorrow's news today. We've moved into the future. I told everybody the indictments were fake before. There were no grand juries. This is different. Here's the deal. We have a gladiator out there. He's trying to stab the other guy to death, politically. So there's actually a fight happening now. I get before, it's uniparty, it was all basically staged. They fought over power, but it was still an agreement, to share power and only burn lower people. This is a real deal now. So I'm saying, let's just, as a case for argument, as an exercise, take what I'm saying is true. Like Ed Martin exists, we really talked to him. These grand juries are in the news, confirmed or open. They really are raiding John Bolton's house. Stuff's really going on, which has happened. Then what do you expect the bad guys are going to pull now?
well, I think what they're going to do is they're going to subvert every effort. I mean, this is what has always taken place. This is exactly what I'm talking about. We're being told that these people are going to investigate, right? So you've probably got people that actually are telling them, hey, I want indictments, I want investigations, but everyone under them is like, oh, yeah, sure, we'll get on that right away, right? And then they're going to run the clock out like they always do, and then we're going to be angry at both sides, never realizing...
That's exactly what Ed Martin told me. The difference is they're going to states with good people, and they've got enough people. It's literally goes, yeah, it's just a few of us working doing it all.
Well, I'm sure that if we put a post out on Truth Social and said, hey, any retired police investigators, detectives, retired Green Berets or whatever, here, apply here, and we can replace all these subversives overnight, and then we can maybe actually get this justice.
Well, Trump could sign an executive order to do that, because the rules of civil service that blocks that. But yeah, that's actually why they're now, for the first time ever, they're dragging in all the best people from the state right now. That's actually happening.
Well, look, I will be more than happy to serve as the FBI director free of charge until everybody responsible for J6 is locked behind bars or hanging from a noose.
Sure, I know they put you in prison for that and tried to have the Russia amendment fail, but on your scale of probably stop war with Russia, stop false flag attacks, stabilize the dollar, stop all the brainwashing of our kids. I mean, J6 is important, but on the hierarchy, because Ed was asking me this, he goes, I really want your opinion. He listed like 10 things he's running. He goes, what do you think's most important? You know what I said? I said, I know everybody wants to have perfect indictments for racketeering and conspiracy and seditious conspiracy, but those I know take so long from my research. I believe you should get them like Al Capone with income tax, not just the mortgage stuff. And I think you should absolutely go after them all. And he said, my God, it's like he read my mind. And he went on to tell me about the meeting the day before with, and he goes, that's exactly what's happening. So we were simpatico on this because I said, the public wants justice. And once you indict these people, even in a half clean jurisdiction like Missouri or Virginia or wherever, the enemies are so arrogant, they never think this will come. Just like the Patriots don't believe it. Imagine when the first indictments start. He already has his office full every day of whistleblowers. They had people going, yeah, we got told by this committee, Obama and all of them ran it, and they would tell us what to sign. They've already come to him. Well, no. And then he's sitting there getting the grand jury in Virginia ready. So what I'm saying is
well, I agree. That's why these indictments, if they come, will be key, because see, it's going to embolden our side, because they're going to be like, oh wait, we are actually finally getting it, and everyone, like you said, is going to come out. This is why I'm saying, and to get back to your point.
Oh yeah, the Republicans gain 50 seats in the House, 6-7 seats in the Senate if they indict Hillary Clinton.
and fix the election.
And everyone has a giant political orgasm.
Right. I mean, look. Again, have we fixed the election system? So I don't know.
Okay, well they're cutting the funding off the states, and they're sending in task forces, and they're redoing redistricting in Texas. Just happened. I'm telling you something. I'm a realist. I've been doing this 31 years. We didn't move the needle an inch until the last 5-6 years. The needle's moving fast.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And you ask, well, where does J6 fall? J6 is a charge on a multi-count indictment for treason, and it's all the same people. The same people.
Oh, that's exactly the quote. He said on J6, on Russiagate, on everything. He says it's Susan. Go ahead and talk about how the names are.
Like I said, J6 is one count in a multi-count treason indictment. And so, we need to look at this from that perspective. Stop trying to look for little crimes. Ooh, if we could only... No. The president has the ability to say these people took part in an overthrow of the American constitutional republic system. It is an act of treason, and
Wait, hold on. They're going after Crossfire Hurricane and proving it's all the same people. But when you're sitting there with all these agencies, these groups, and they're all, thinly veiled what they're doing, yes, you can do that if Trump decided to start giving people helicopter rides like, we're in South America. The point is that you start hitting them with the income tax evasion and the mortgage fraud and hit a bunch of them, they're all going to turn and run, and then you get the big stuff. I think their strategy to hit them with all the stuff that's clear cut is smart.
I'll be sitting back and watching and waiting for good news. So I mean, if anybody wants to talk to me, I'm more than happy to help out in any way. So I want the